Alrighty. Hey guys, so this is Asha Sapaya. I'm one of the co-founders of Water Wellness Project. I'm so excited to have today the wonderful Jen Acosta. And I met her recently and she's absolutely wonderful. I feel like she has wonderful advice and guidance and so much positivity to share with you guys, and I think it'll be so valuable. So I just thought I would get an interview with her and see what we can valuable tidbits we can share with you all. So this is Jennifer Acosta. Say hi, Jen.
Hi.
Wonderful. So I just wanted to start off, Jen, and just kind of ask you, do you have a philosophy that you live by? What is that philosophy?
Gosh, I have a few, but I'll see if I can choose one. Overall, it's that we are all here on this planet, in this life, in these bodies right now to make an impact and to connect and to show up in a deeper, more brilliant way than we even know.
That's wonderful. Yeah. So kind of leading on that, so tell us a little bit about your passions and how that's led to your career and just what gets you up every morning.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so it's kind of connected to that. My passion is definitely to help people. Oftentimes women come to me, and oftentimes mothers, actually, just because I'm one, and so that's kind of what I attract, is women or mothers or people that want to live a bigger life. They sort of know that, the kind of grind, if you will, of just waking up and doing the same thing and all that over and over again is not really why they're here, and they somehow have come to a point in their life where it's not satisfying anymore. So I really love helping women, helping people to wake up to what that is for them, that is deeply satisfying, that is deeply nourishing, and it will indeed be different for every single person. So that led me into coaching, which I've been a coach for over 10 years now. And I just find that coaching is just such a brilliant way to sort of help shake people up, help wake people up, help people go beyond their comfort zone, help people sort of live beyond the mundane. So they feel alive again, and they feel like juicy in their relationships and their business or their career or their jobs, their parenting. So they just feel like themselves, like times 10, 100, 1,000. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. Cause I really resonated with you a lot because of just the fact that, you really see the value that we can take in our everyday actions in our life, right? That how we have the power to make a difference, and we have the power to make a difference in our lives, our families' lives, and the world. And, just really make an impact on so many things. And that's really I really feel that from you, that you have that same drive. And that's really, I really wanted to share that with, our followers. So I know you believe that you can take anything and you can do it in a way that levels up your life and the world, right? So you talk a lot about that. So I thought you could share. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Sure. So I, just kind of going along those lines, I guess, I know, if you will, that mothers, we're here. I mean, without sounding cliche, we're here to save the world. And by that, what I mean is by starting to raise conscious children, by starting to make exactly what you said, which again, I love and resonate with you too, is all the stuff that you're about and your followers, I'm sure, are about, is how actually every single decision we make, from the big ones to what do I want to do in my life, to the small ones, to what am I going to purchase, and how am I going to spend my money here. And one of the things, you did a video on, so many people don't know, like they go down to Forever 21 and what that does, or those stores, I don't mean to say one store, but just the fast fashion and how that impacts our world. And so I do believe, I could go off on a tangent, but I believe that every choice, day to day, pretty much moment to moment, is all connected and sort of forms this weave, this fabric of our life. And as we make better choices in even the small decisions, like our impact could be so great and so positive. And imagine we all did that, not just the moms. The moms are setting an example, but everyone, really, everyone. Imagine if we all made more conscious decisions that would impact our earth, each other, ourselves, our bodies, our relationships better, we would change the game, and I believe we are. It's just, the movement's happening. It's happening now.
Do you have any tips for people who want to level up their life and do things that are good for the world, the environment, themselves, tips that people could, maybe 3 tips that people could take in their life to really take action every day to do the right thing, because some people want to do the right thing, but they're not, they can't get themselves to do that, or they find it overwhelming, to take those steps every day.
Right. Okay. So I'll hit that from a few different angles if you want a few different tips. So I'll start with the earth and the environment, so for me, my kids go to a Waldorf school, and we are a zero impact school. Everything we do, all our festivities, all of our, the kids are not allowed to bring plastic. We have containers, we reuse, recycle. So I love being a part of a community that stands for that. So my little tip there would be, go beyond the easy stuff and get the containers for the kids. And yes, you have to wash them and dry them, but the throwaway plastic is really, it's not okay. It's actually not okay. So that's sort of the first thing that I would say is, and your kids are watching, and I always tell my kids, I want my grandkids to have oceans filled with fish and trees and, the abundance that we have. And right now we get to affect that. So that would be the first thing, is go beyond the easy. I know it's easier sometimes, but in the long run, it's actually not. So that would be that for that. And then sort of personal wise, I would say, I do try, Aisha, to go into everything and see, what can I learn from this? So if you're in a relationship, or you're, speaking with your parents or your family or friends, and there's what we call in the coaching world, like a breakdown, where you're just not understanding each other, where maybe even you're upset or angry, or they're upset or angry. Maybe it's harder in the moment, but I do try to to say, okay, I'm angry or I'm sad, and what is the learning here? What can I get? And it might be after the fact. Maybe you have that bit of a blow up and you need your space, but sort of always asking the question, if it's a breakdown in relationships or even your business or whatever, what is life teaching me? I just feel like so much of our lives could be up leveled if we start to ask ourselves richer questions. People get stuck in the why is this happening and all that. But I'm wondering if we can take that and actually ask questions like, what am I not seeing? What am I not hearing? What am I not understanding? What can I learn from this? And questions along those lines, I believe that could totally change the game. And on a day-to-day smaller basis as well, what can I learn here would be even that alone would change a life.
Yeah, that's so good. And actually, I love what you're talking about, that your kids are going to a Waldorf school. So I I hadn't heard of that before, and that's great that that exists. So you're in Santa Cruz, right? So it exists down there. Is Are Waldorf schools across the United States, or is it like in Santa Cruz mostly?
Yeah, actually, Waldorf schools are international,
Okay.
and I'm very passionate about that. We can talk about that one day, girl. But it's it's just really quick about that. They're international. They've been around a long time, and basically the philosophy is it's very different than a public standard school. They learn by being outdoors. They learn through play often, and they learn through full embodiment learning. So they're not sitting there filling out little sheets of math. They're clapping their addition. They're like signing their, it's amazing. It's a full body experience to sort of change the game on learning. And yes, the basis is, how we show up in even the classroom and our impact on the earth. If we start them young, they're gonna, do something very different than we've done.
Yeah, that's so good. I so believe that, by getting the next generation of kids and really teaching them these important values that we need to care about our earth, care about each other, care about everything, because it's so important. And like, that's the thing that, at Water Wellness Project, we really try and express, and that is that we have the power to make a difference. And I think that teaching kids from a young age that they have that capacity to do things, and they can make small changes in their life, to make a difference. And I think no matter what age you are, of course, that's important to know, but starting them when they're young, then you can, like, for their lifetime, and they're going to spread that message too, right? So that's I love it. So that's wonderful.
Yes, I knew you would. Yes, and lastly, just about that is they're also, the other thing I love is they spend a lot of their day in the garden.
Oh,
and
nice.
I know you'd appreciate that. But yes, I think pretty much all Waldorf schools, no matter where they are, gardening is part of the curriculum, growing your food. So they have those kids composting from 4 years old in preschool, and they're out there picking broccoli off, and then they go make soup with it in the classroom, and it's a pretty brilliant educational system. So.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Oh, I love it. It's so good that they have schools. I'm obviously, I don't have kids, so I don't know too much about the schools out there.
You'll learn about it if you choose to become a mom.
Yeah,
you're going to be one
of our audience that, who are moms, they would really, that's something that they may really, think that there are schools out there. Maybe people don't know about, all the different options they have for. And but also just how important it is from starting off young, and getting the kids to go. So that's that's amazing. And I guess the next thing I just wanted to touch on, I know you have thoughts on, how our thoughts affect our thoughts and beliefs affect, the world, right? So like how, like, we think about the world, how does it affect, like, what action does that have effect does that have on the world? Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like, so what we think and what we feel and how that So, I'm sure a lot of people have heard about The Secret, it's called The Secret. There's a book on it and stuff, but I do believe that, in fact, it's not only a belief, I know that, our life really starts inside meaning in our hearts, in our heads, and it's sort of this inner experience that then sort of translates to what's around us. And not that everything's going to be perfect if we feel perfect inside, but it's how we show up and how we match whatever's happening, the situation. So they just talk about in coaching world, like being able to focus on your vision and your thoughts, and keeping them really in line with the vision for your life, more so than maybe the circumstance. So if you're having a hard time financially or in a relationship or whatever, yes, there's a part that you need to handle the stuff that's going on in the physical world, that kind of thing, put in structures, get support, all that. But then there's this whole other world that's happening that's inside that that we do get to choose. We might not be able to choose the circumstance, but we do get to choose how we meet it, what our thoughts are about it, who we show up as. So I do, yeah, it's a huge philosophy I live by, is being able to choose wisely our thoughts and our feelings, and then watching how that comes and creates and affects even the people and the circumstances around us.
Yeah, because I think like one limiting belief a lot of people have, especially when it comes to the environment or things like that, right, is that we cannot change, we cannot make the world a better place, or we cannot impact. Like when it comes to water, for example, something that a lot of people say is, you know, that what we do, like our actions in this part of the world, they're not, like most of the water shortages are internationally. So what can we do? But it's all global, right? Our water is, we have a finite resource of water, and our oceans are all connected. Our water cycle's connected, and it does impact. And I think in light of what you're saying, like that if we have the belief that we can make an impact, or that we have to have the correct beliefs in order to actually make an impact on this world, right? So and I think like I think that's a good thing to think about in terms of every aspect, right? Obviously like your personal life, like how you're going to live, but even in terms of just like everyday actions you can take, right? If you believe you can make an impact in the world, then maybe you're more likely to do things that are going to be better for yourself and the world, like recycling or composting, but only if you believe that's really going to do something. Because we only do what we believe, right? Like in this world, we only do what we believe. And I think those actions are so important.
Yes.
Do you have any tips on developing empowering beliefs?
Yeah, good question. Let's see. I would just say, so some of the best ways people can sort of, well, first of all, let me say it's like a muscle. You know, I mean, most of us are not born with being able to think about what we think, you know, and being able to dissect it. So it's not like you're going to get this straight away. It's practicing being aware of your thoughts. So a lot of people first say meditation helps, that kind of thing. So all those things, yoga, being able to slow down so you are able to kind of see, like a fly on the wall, see, okay, what did I do there, and what was I thinking, and how did I act? That's always good, sort of having that, having the view of that. And the other thing I always suggest to my clients is like having a solid why, because again, there's going to be a circumstance. There's always going to be, just like you said, and using your example, like it's overwhelming sometimes what the earth needs right now, and to think, oh God, you know, this isn't going to make a difference, why even bother? But yet, like, my why for that, for me personally, is the legacy I leave for my grandchildren and my great grandchildren. And when I don't feel like going the extra mile or doing the, you know, a beach cleanup on Sunday morning, you know, like that kind of stuff that we do, I do think about the why. And I think about, why am I doing this? And I make that more of a priority than what I'm feeling right now. Like, oh, I want to stay in bed and I've been working hard and But then I go, you know what? No, like today, my why is bigger, and I'm going to choose to get out there and be in community, and, you know that I'm doing something towards my vision and what I hold for myself and the standard, and not just talking about it, but actually taking action.
Yeah, those are really good tips, because, you know, personally, I'm a meditator, but also one thing I find really helpful is that every day to remind yourself, you know, what are your values, what are your beliefs, like, and then like the more you tell yourself your beliefs and your ideas, the more it becomes who you are, right? You have to like remind, because sometimes it's easy, like for example, when you go brush your teeth, like sometimes it's easy to forget to turn off the tap, for example, right? Like when you're doing it, but it becomes a habit eventually. But if you start to care about water and things like that you believe that does make an impact, and I think understanding, like you said, like the why, why should I care? That is so key, because
Yes.
when people realize how, you know, a lot of our water treatment facilities in Canada are actually primary treatment facilities, meaning they only clean out the hard waste, like the solid waste.
Okay.
And actually that means a lot of like any sort of liquids, they're kind of going back into our oceans. And so like any sort of like antibiotics, chemicals, like there are several, like they're working on that right now. But I think in the United States, they've had secondary treatment facilities for water for a long time, but still it's legal to let out a certain percentage of, you know, solid waste. There's still so much going into our ocean. So it does matter how much water you use, because you're putting more into that polluted mess that's going back into the ocean. So it does matter. And like when we don't understand why we should care, because we think, okay, they're going to clean it. But do you know how your treatment facility works? Do you know that it is not getting fully cleaned? Do you know that you are adding to the problem? And, you know, that's why that's so like important. And I love that you said that, like understanding the why, because if you know the why, like that's in terms of environment, but also in terms of everyday life, right? If you know why you're doing anything, like caring about another human, like should I, you know, I see someone who needs something, how do I help them? But I know why, because why do they need the help? Why do I care about them? Right? Like, or like,
right.
You know, why, like what are your beliefs too? Right? I think like if you have a belief that if your values in life are that you're a caring person, compassionate person, like then you're going to help more, or you're going to make a difference. But if you don't think of yourself that way,
right,
you may not do that. And I think working on that every day is important to creating a better world. And I think starting from a young age is good, and as well, like every day just working on that. So
exactly. Totally. I agree totally.
Those are valuable tips. And then I think one of the last couple of questions I wanted to ask was, what are your thoughts on what we eat and its impact on our health and also the world? So like everything, I always like to get a perspective from personally, like how it affects our health and us as a people, and as the world, like the impact of the food we eat on the world. So we talk a lot about like, you know, being mindful of what we consume, because actually that's one of the biggest ways we can make an impact on the world. So I just thought I'd, you know, ask you a little bit about your beliefs on that.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm certainly not an expert. I'm still learning about, you know, how all this impacts and stuff. But I will start with that. I know what feels good in my body. I'm an expert on that. And it's interesting you asked me that, because I don't talk about this much, but I've learned recently, sort of a side note, is that I've actually recently had to give up like wheat and bread and stuff. And I love bread. Oh my God, I love bread. But I was finding it was really, really hard for my body to digest. I was getting, you know, just candida and stuff like that. And, you know, I never had a problem, but again, I don't know the answer to this, Asa, but I feel like it's the pollution. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's something in the wheat or the way they process it that is not the same as it was when I was growing up and younger. So that's kind of really opened my eyes to like, and I try to eat organic too, but I still feel like you know, maybe it's the gluten, maybe it's a combination, but I don't know. It feels different than it did, and I'm also just in the last couple years learning about the impact that red meat and animals have on our planet. And I have to be honest, I was sort of naive about that for a long time. And you know, I was a vegan in high school for many years, but it was only because it wasn't, you know, I didn't want to eat animals because it was mean. But now I've learned, like, oh my God, there's this whole vast thing that's happening that like not you know, not many people actually really know about. The cows and all that. So so I really don't eat red meat at all anymore. And, you know, as I tap into it, I'm really not that thrilled about chicken, and fish scares me recently with the mercury and stuff. So it's something I'm learning, hun, and I'm eager to learn more. But yeah, it's also something that I personally find a little bit overwhelming because there's so much.
Yeah.
So I really do try to seek out the people like the John Robbins, and the names are escaping me now, but the people that are like, okay, yeah, here's what's happening. Here's why we need to make a change, and it's going to be okay. This is what we can do. Adding the like, so I don't drown in this like, oh my God, I can't eat anything. But actually, like, again, and that's why I mentioned to you before, I love that my kids love a garden, and we grow vegetables and we grow sprouts in our house in jars, and we're learning different ways and different things to eat, because that all what we put in, just as much as our thoughts and our feelings, I mean, it all affects us and our world around us totally.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I always like to ask that question, just get a feel for what people think, and we're gonna have actually some experts in this area.
Great. I'll be watching.
Yeah, so we're gonna have some interviews, and actually have some people doing like a series of articles about it too. So I think we're gonna have a lot more content on that, because I think it is overwhelming. There's so much to know, but there are small, simple steps that we can take to change our diet that makes an impact on our health and the planet. But I think touching on what you said, which is really important, is like that you also have to trust like what feels good to you, right? So often like you don't want to preach like one thing for everybody, because obviously you know what's good for you, what does your body need, and but even within any diet, there are small changes that we can make that will make an impact. And cutting out red meat, for example, is a huge thing. And like, even if you can do like a meatless Monday, like, or just reduce it by a little bit. Cause again, like maybe you need that extra protein. Experts will say we don't necessarily need animal meat, animal protein. We can use other proteins, but some people do believe that. There are experts saying everything, right? So, but what I would just say is that like, you have to do what's right for you, and even just making small reductions and small changes. Like I think at Water Wellness Project, that's what we believe strongly, is like, we don't want to tell anybody to like, we don't believe necessarily in drastic changes, changing your entire lifestyle. Like, even if you can make a small change, that'll make an impact, and that's more doable, right? So
totally. Yeah, I love that. You reminded me real quick of I have a few friends here, and one of my friends, Sarah, she's super committed, and she's kind of my idol on she's a mom of 2 and a wife, and she leads her family in low impact. So for her, she's very passionate about buying in bulk and cutting down plastic and all that stuff. And the reason why I say this is because you just reminded me, like Meatless Monday, I love that. And she got me inspired to do. Now I take my kids, and we're busy, so we shoot for at least once a week, but we find a meal, and we live in Santa Cruz, so we're blessed. It's a little easier, but we go to the store, my kids help me, and we find a meal that has no packaging. Okay. And so it's like Packageless Tuesday or whatever we make up some funny name, but it's like really exactly what you said, the small changes just every now and then, even once a month, where you can go and you can buy the rice in bulk, or you can buy the salmon and say, well, hold the plastic, and you can bring your basket or your bags, or, you get creative, and the kids love this. They love it. It makes them think outside the box, and we make our own sauces and bring jars for honey. And it's just, if we all did that, it'd be a game changer,
Exactly. And that's the thing, like anybody can just make small changes. And I think a cool thing, I'm not sure if you know, and if our listeners know, that actually Bulk Barn now, they actually allow you to bring your own containers.
Nice.
So, anybody, I don't personally shop at Bulk Barn, but people who do, like, they can take your container, weigh it, and then go and fill it with what you want. That way you can bring your own glass jars, fill it up, and you're not, producing plastic. Because plastic, like, is the biggest problem, right? As you know, it's one of the biggest problems. And we're gonna, like, on all these topics we're talking about, we're gonna bring experts on different areas to kind of give their perspective. But I like to get, like, your expertise in my mind is your ability to, you have this passion to really make an impact on the world. Like you believe in your power, right? You're all about power. You have the capacity to make a difference. And I think that is so important. And I'm not sure whether you want to talk about this. Let me know if you don't. But do you have any thoughts on, you know, what we purchase, like everyday, like our purchases, our products that we buy, you know, like everyday things, how it impacts the world? Like, you know, like is there anything that any sort of advice you've had or anything that you want to like share with our community just about the impact of the products that we buy and its impact on the world? Like or like something that you do that you think is really important that you would want other people to try?
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, again, and not being an expert, but just being a curious mom who's passionate about our future and the earth. I spent a lot of time with a dear friend of mine and his work in the field, and actually I'll hook you up with him. He's a great guy, and his work in the field is in supply chain and in, you know, transportation and all this stuff. And he actually taught me a lot about, you know, the impact that whatever we buy, where it's made in China, and this was around Christmas time, the last couple Christmas times, and, you know, and how that impacts our earth, like the boats and the fossil fuels and I mean, it's amazing and a little bit overwhelming, but it's really gotten me to think, you know, to even put some thought, like you're saying, into what we purchase. And not to say that you have to go and be perfect and all that, but when I am at the register, like now I will notice, does my tag say, you know, made in the USA, or is it made in some factory where girls and young kids are getting abused? Like, I might not want to buy that if it is, you know? So just really knowing, again, like we said in the beginning, that's where we get empowered, in the small moments at the register where we have our say. And I think that people don't think about that. And if we actually really thought about that, you know, we would feel so much more empowered. We could actually, like, really, we could change this if enough people started to not buy certain products and not, you know, look at, well, I won't talk about too much the presidency, but like even just a small example, you know, some people didn't stop buying that clothesline, or stores stopped selling a certain clothesline because people said no. I think we underestimate what the small people can do, and that comes down to every day, every single day. And if we all really took charge of that and felt empowered in our choices, in our thoughts, in our lives, our world would totally change. We could turn this around. I do believe that.
Yeah, that's so true. And that's like we always say, you know, we speak with our money, right? So where we spend our money, we're basically, when we spend money, we're saying we're telling the company, we approve of your practices, we approve of your policies. And so if you don't agree with what they're doing, you need to stop buying those products. And I mean, that's a great example, like you were saying, you know, like Ivanka Trump, I'm using the name, but Ivanka Trump's products are being stopped carried in certain stores. And that is because people spoke. I mean, I don't know what all these people, whether that was a reason or it's just some other reason, but basically we know that if people don't like a product, you know, you can speak with your money and you can stop buying. Also in Canada, in Toronto, we had a Trump Tower condo building, I think it was, and nobody was buying. And they're basically have to sell it now because...
Really? Wow.
Yeah, so like, I mean, it's a lot of like, that's the thing, like we speak with our money and we can make a difference. And I think believing that every day we have that capacity to make a difference. And I think that is the important thing. And I think what it is our mission, and I know it's your mission too, is like in general is like to empower people to level up, right? As you say, you know, level up, change your life, change the world, because we have the power in our everyday life, you know, by just taking actions, right? So I think having more empowered people in this world is how we're going to do that. And I think people like you who are doing your coaching and really trying to empower people to level up in every aspect of your life, that's so important.
Right, totally.
Because people sometimes need a little bit of a help as to like, what are, to figure out what it is that what are their values, or what is the things that they need to improve on, or how do you stay consistent, with your, with whatever you want to do, whatever action you want to take, whatever steps you want to do, or whatever task you want to, do, or goals you have. Like, how do you, whatever it is, how do you take action? So I guess, like, do you have any tips for people in general, like, or general tips, maybe just a couple of like, how do you stay consistent, towards a goal that you have? So people, let's say people watching this are now, I want to take action, I want to make a difference in the world, like any aspect, whether it's your own life, anybody, like whatever the action they want to take. Like, do you have any quick tips, a couple of tips of ways that people can stay consistent and, take action every day? Do you have any tips?
Yeah, so I would say to that is similar to, well, I would start with similar to our, what we talked about before, is again, going back to your, what we call your why, or your vision for your life. Like what, we're all gonna wake up in bad moods, and we're gonna have breakdowns, and we're gonna feel sad, and we're gonna feel unmotivated and all that. But if you maybe have some sort of a collage or a vision, or take a moment to journal or write down like where you're headed, and somehow post it even, or have it somewhere where you can reconnect to that when you're feeling like you don't want to take action and you don't want to do anything, and sort of recommit to that. So that would be a thing, is again, your why, your vision, the bigger reason you're here, rather than just how you feel in the moment. Because if we always go by how we feel, we all feel a lot of stuff. So we just we're going to spin our wheels. So that would be the first thing. And then the second thing, like even in pertaining to, again, what we talked about, is think about, put some thought into it. Like what is your goal, and what can you put in place to make it easier? Like for me, if I'm really committed to my children not bringing plastic baggies to school and that kind of stuff, I had to go out and I bought the clean canteen bottles, and I bought I bought and I have the things that make it slightly easier for me to be able to. So whatever that is for you, like whatever structures you can put in place that move you towards the goals in your life, that make it a little easier, that because the less effort, probably someone's going to do it, so that would be my second thing, is ask yourself, what can I have here? What can I do? To like an example, again, I'm trying to really think about where I put my money and what kind of clothes I buy and all that stuff. And I'm lucky here in Santa Cruz, we have amazing they use all organic threads and all this other stuff. But even, if I feel that need of like, oh, I want to shop, I want new shoes, or I've actually I've done research before I want to do that, and research the companies that I do want to support, that are supporting women, that are making a good impact. And now I can pull them up here on my computer and find a cute little t-shirt and sort of satisfy that craving, rather than go down and spend it at Forever 21. And those clothes last, you wash them 3 times and they're crap anyway. So it's like, and the other ones last. So that's what I would say, is just whatever your goal is, what can you put in place that's easy for you, that makes it easier, so then you'll actually do that. Because if it's hard, we tend to just be lazy. So.
Yeah, those are really good tips.
Yeah,
because it just little ways we can make it easier for people to actually, do the right thing, and live the best life that they want to live.
Yeah.
So is there anything you want to end off with, any message you want to send, like a final message for what you want to tell our audience, and anything that any final message?
Yeah, so I would just say, like a lot of what we talked about, I would just say that you are, we are much more powerful than we think. No matter what the circumstance, no matter what your story or your history or your past, although I'm sure there's been pain there, we all have it, and a lot of us still going through it, and things happen. But I know in terms of the planet, in terms of ourselves, in terms of our lives, there is so much more power and resource that we can access. And I think, as Tony Robbins puts it, it's not lack of resources, it's lack of resourcefulness.
Yeah.
And if we just kind of get out of our box, or we think we know it all and all that, and we open up to each other, to just what's happening in the world, and we actually educate and we listen to people like you're going to have experts and all this stuff, we get to actually open up to just how much possibility and resources there are. And it's vast. It's vast. So that's sort of my message, is just, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling down, if you have a goal or a vision and you're not there, just ask yourself, what resources could I seek to actually move towards, and just take action towards that, everyday action towards that.
That's wonderful. Yay. That's great. That's so helpful. And I'm sure that's going to be so valuable to our readers. So, our listener, our watchers.
Yay. Yep.
Viewers.
Yes.
I'm writing too many different things. I don't know what I'm talking about.
You're like, who is this? Yes,
Are you listening to me? Are you watching me? Okay.
Yes.
So if anybody wants to find you, where can they find you?
Yeah, it's just connectwithjennifer.com. Okay. And I'm also on Facebook, Jennifer Acosta, Acosta, and I'd love to hear from you. I love learning and connecting with other people. So.
Yeah, wonderful. So for all of you out there, just want to let you guys know that, Jen is a wonderful person. So if you guys want to connect with her, you need any advice or any sort of guidance, coaching, she's really wonderful. And as we always say, we all have the capacity to make a difference in this world. So let's go out there and do that. And And as I was saying, we're going to have many experts coming up we're having videos and some blog posts and wonderful things to help you guys, make better choices and really help make the world a better place and help make you feel more fulfilled and happy about your life as well. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you. This was so fun.
Yeah, and thank you all for listening today. Thanks, guys.
Yes, bye.